Hello and welcome to my review of Challengers, directed by Luca Guadagnino. This is his latest movie to have come down the pipeline. It came out shortly after Bones and All, which I feel like was just yesterday, but apparently it was over like a year and a half ago now, which is crazy. Besides that, I have a new camera that I'm testing out with this video. Hopefully we can get some good results here with this. But yeah, let's talk about Challengers. So, Challengers was easily one of my most anticipated movies of the year. I felt like it had the potential to be this really slick and cool thriller based off of tennis. I think that all of the actors that were involved, I'm a huge fan of, obviously. And mainly, Luca Guadagnino, coming off the heels of Bones and All, felt like the perfect director for this kind of movie. Zendaya has been on quite the hot streak as well as of late. She was somebody that took a while to warm up to me, just because, you know, she was part of that like whole Disney Channel wave, and those actors and actresses don't normally pan out that well, but she is a huge exception to that rule. I think she has been phenomenal in almost everything that she's in. And yeah, I just felt like this movie had the potential to be really good. That potential was completely blown out of the water once I actually sat down and started watching the movie, and I can confidently say that Challengers is my favorite movie of the year by a landslide, and it's going to be very hard to beat. This movie was everything I wanted it to be, and so much more. There was so much tension. There was such great chemistry between the entire cast. The way this movie was shot and composed and blocked and stunt choreographed, all of that was beautiful. Absolutely mesmerizing. It was an absolute emotional roller coaster from start to finish. This movie immediately sinks its claws in with its first sequence and never lets go. You can always feel the pounding pulse of the movie, no matter what sequence you're in. Every single scene has the ability to either, you know, blow up or scale back a little bit. And it has this push and pull that I thought was so brilliant. Luca Guadagnino, this one I think is his best movie to date, and I think that his exact style and his visual flair was perfect for this movie. I mean, there were so many shots in this movie that I could have said was, oh, that's the best shot of the year. Oh, that is beautiful. That could be a screensaver. Stuff like that. I just felt like it was so unique and so, again, on the pulse of this movie. It had such a unique flair to it that I'm having trouble describing, and it's just something that you have to see to really get a feel for. Another reason why this movie absolutely hit it out of the park was the three main leads, that being Zendaya, Mike Fast, and Josh O'Connor. And they all did something so different, but that worked so well together that they became unrecognizable in these roles. Zendaya is this presence in this movie, and whenever she's on the screen, you are immediately drawn to her. You are, you know, anticipating her next move with this nervous energy of like, oh, what is she going to do next? What is she going to say next? And she is so commanding and so in control the entire time that it was amazing. It was easily her best performance, which, again, is not something that I say lightly with how, you know, how many great performances she's given us over the years. This is easily her best, and she is, I couldn't imagine anybody else playing Tashi O'Connor. I think that was her name. Right, Kim? Tashi O'Connor?
I don't know if it was O'Connor. I think it was definitely Duncan.
Tashi Duncan. Yeah, sorry. Mike Fast, I think, really plays the, you know, like, cowering, completely in love partners so well. Like, he gets a lot of the mannerisms very right. His actions feel over dramatic and, you know, painfully obvious, and you get a lot of secondhand embarrassment from him, but you can also really see his side of things and really start to empathize with him at the end of the movie as well. And he also has very good chemistry with Zendaya. Their relationship felt very believable. The dynamic between the two felt very believable. And then Josh O'Connor, who kind of came out of nowhere, he popped up in this movie as well as La Chimera, which I haven't seen yet. I really want to see, but that movie's getting a lot of people to talk. But he was great in this, kind of playing this cocky, kind of sniveling rich kid who acted like he would always get his way, but slowly slipped into irrelevancy once a certain something happens in the movie that I can't really spoil. But the way his character is able to get a rise out of anybody he interacts with, the way that he can kind of weasel his way into your mind is so brilliant. And I think that again, it's hard to pick a favorite performance here, because I think you take away one from this movie and it completely sinks the rest of it. I think that they're all necessary parts here, and they were the perfect actors. Like, this is some of the best casting we have seen in a really long time as well. So yes, 3 phenomenal performances that should be up for Oscars when the time comes. Tension captured with each carefully composed shot was absolutely magical. It needs to be seen to be believed here, but I cannot emphasize how much I loved the cinematography. I think using tennis as a metaphor for sexual tension and the emotional layers that come with that is also a really good narrative device, because, you know, tennis is such a push and pull. It is such a relationship between two people, and weaving that in and out of this weird love triangle is so unique and so distinct to this movie that I loved it. I was floored by how well the narrative was pulled off in this movie. It's disjointed. It switches between timelines very frequently, and I can understand why some people can kind of find that confusing or obnoxious at times, but I felt like the editing was strong enough, and the overall pacing and the narrative structure was sound enough to where I could follow it the entire time. I knew what was going on the entire time, and I was loving it. Again, I feel like it starts to peel back the layers in such a distinct way, in a way that feels purposeful every single time. You know, they're not just jumping around to jump around. It feels like we are getting like a... this movie has the same feeling of getting a really good gossip story from your friend, where yes, it might be a little jumbled around, it might be you know, disjointed in places, but the central story is so interesting and so you're just chomping at the bit for more, that it almost comes better that way, if that makes sense. When you're getting piece fed throughout the entire thing, instead of just having one linear narrative. And another thing I want to mention before we wrap up here is the soundtrack and the score to this movie. I feel like it added so much to, especially the tennis sequences. I felt like I don't know, Trent Reznor did something magical once again here. So yeah, Challengers, it had such an energy to it. It had such a unique pulse. I felt like the writing was razor sharp. I felt like the cinematography was beyond this world. I felt like the performances were beyond this world. And it is such a unique movie, and one that I feel like we're going to be talking about more and more. It's a little bit hard to talk about without spoiling anything, because that's kind of the main draw of this movie, is just getting all of these details thrown at you and following this crazy story between these 3 people. But it is also told in such a way, and the filmmaking is so breathtaking, that I felt like this movie hit it out of the park even more than I thought it would. So Challengers gets an easy A+. This is, again, like I said, my favorite movie of the year so far. I don't really see anything beating it, or maybe even coming close. I don't know. But for now, I will leave it at that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully the footage with my new camera goes over well. And look forward to more reviews in the future. I'll see you guys later.